Blake Lively's most notorious unhinged moments didn't just stir controversy, they ended in actual lawsuits. But those aren't the only ones worth noting. We're diving deep into some of the most unbelievable situations where Blake truly went off the rails. One shocking moment happened on set when she spoke with producer Jamie Heath. Blake included Jamie in her legal filings. He wasn't just any producer, but the CEO of Wayfarer Studios and a close friend of Justin. There was a particular day on set where Blake invited Jamie and other execs to her trailer. After knocking, Jamie walked in and saw her getting makeup removed from her collarbone while she was breastfeeding, though not nude. Jamie politely asked if he could come back later, but Blake insisted the meeting proceed. Things got stranger 2 weeks later when she told Jamie she noticed him making eye contact with her. Jamie immediately apologized, saying he didn't realize he had looked her way. Blake then remarked, "I know you weren't trying to cop a look." That moment, where Blake seemingly accused him of something inappropriate just for looking her in the eye, raised disturbing racial undertones. Historically, black men could be killed during slavery for merely making eye contact with white women. Jamie, a black man, found himself in a situation where Blake was upset over something as simple as eye contact, something that's entirely normal in communication. It's especially troubling considering Blake had her wedding at a former slave plantation. That alone paints a picture of how she might view certain racial dynamics. And her issues with Jamie seem to reflect an underlying belief that he didn't have the right to look her in the eyes. It gets worse. Blake once said she loved fashion inspired by the slavery era. And at one point, she claimed she had to cosplay as a black girl to portray a geeky stalker in her early acting days. All of this forms a deeply disturbing pattern.
My best friend and I, when we were in 10th grade, we had like crazy crushes. We would drive around, like stalk these guys. We decided one night to go to the arcade where they were, and I put bronzer all over myself in a Scary Spice fro, so I thought they would think I was like a black girl, and so I could stalk them.
But Blake's bizarre behavior goes beyond race. There are plenty of other unsettling things she's said and done in the past.
Read the gossip magazines and everybody is dating everyone, everybody hates everyone, everybody's like had tons of plastic surgery and we're actually men and trannies.
It only gets weirder. In one message to Justin, Blake wrote, "If you ever get around to watching Game of Thrones, you'll see I'm just like Khaleesi, and like her, I have a few dragons. Usually for good, because they protect the ones I fight for. You'll benefit from my monsters too." In this context, Blake was referring to Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift as her dragons, ready to unleash on command. While the message may seem silly, it also comes across as oddly threatening. In Game of Thrones, Khaleesi ends up being killed by Jon Snow, who sports a man bun, just like Justin. Whether intentional or not, this message looked like a veiled warning about how the trial might play out. It's ironic considering how Khaleesi's story ends, and the real-life parallel Blake seems unaware of. Blake's most iconic role was in Gossip Girl, but even during that time, she made some deeply problematic remarks during press tours. One such incident involved her former co-star Leighton Meester. Blake made a clearly derogatory comment about Leighton while gesturing right at her, even though Leighton stood beside her. She also made repeated jokes referring to her co-stars as monkeys during those interviews.
Chuck has a matching pet monkey with coordinating outfits, and I was like, I would love to be part of the show, but I can't act with a monkey. And then I got a few of them.
She's got a few of them.
Come on, it was a joke.
And then Blake took it even further, saying that Leighton started life in a cage. A disturbing jab at the fact that Leighton was born in prison. Leighton has openly shared how her parents were incarcerated at the time of her birth.
My parents had been part of a very interesting lifestyle, I guess you could say.
They were in prison.
Yes, okay.
That wasn't the only time Blake went after Leighton.
Everyone knows blondes are nicer anyway.
Blake even mocked Leighton's hair color. Leighton is naturally blonde but dyed her hair for Gossip Girl. Blake used that to claim blondes are nicer, suggesting Leighton's character, and maybe Leighton herself, was less kind because she wasn't blonde on the show. She also became obsessed with a compliment she received about a crown straightener and kept bringing it up repeatedly, showcasing her need for control over public image and appearances.
Someone on social media is calling you a crown straightener. I said, what's that? She said, a woman who goes around straightening other women's crowns. And I was just like, oh, it was just like the best compliment I've ever been given.
In interviews, Blake often gives bizarre answers. You'll also notice her co-stars freezing up whenever she speaks, almost as if they're stunned by the nonsense coming out of her mouth.
To make a movie that like about the female emotion, and it's just like hysterical women. And I was like, no, like women also want to listen to Tom York.
One of her more shocking comments was when she said her mother had passed away, when in fact, that wasn't true.
So sorry that we're late. I'm late because I lost my mom. She was supposed to be in Boston and she's in Barcelona. I would say understandable mistake, but not understandable. Unclear how my mother's in Boston. So if anybody watching is in Barcelona and can return my mom to me, the good news is she also lost her phone.
It wasn't speculation when people said Blake was aiming for a Barbie and Oppenheimer effect when It Ends With Us and Deadpool hit the theaters, as she did everything possible to get people to see this.
Why is Deadpool Wolverine sold out? I'm sorry, I got distracted back there. I feel offended, but we're not out yet. That's fine. I'm happy about that. No, I didn't even answer it. Sorry, it's like flashing sold out.
Many people believed Blake was aiming for her own version of the Barbenheimer phenomenon, hoping that It Ends With Us and Deadpool would hit theaters around the same time. She pushed heavily for it. Interestingly, Deadpool included scenes where Ryan Reynolds mocked Justin using a calm, cool character with a man bun, again referencing Justin. But Blake showed no accountability when she chose not to even read the book It Ends With Us was based on before filming. While many actors dive into research and source materials, Blake dismissed the only source of inspiration for the story. She had a history of these kinds of incidents. Back in 2017, when powerful women in Hollywood were speaking out against Harvey Weinstein, Blake used that moment to share her own experience with a makeup artist who made her uncomfortable, touching her face, applying lipstick with his finger, and filming her while she was asleep. She never revealed who he was, but there's been speculation he may have been black, adding more questions about Blake's discomfort working with black professionals. There's also the lesser-known incident involving Hugh Jackman's ex-wife, Deborah Lee Furness. Blake was accused of lying and covering up Hugh's alleged affair with Sutton Foster. Deborah Lee felt deeply betrayed, believing she and Blake had a cordial relationship. Instead, Blake and Ryan apparently knew about Hugh's situation long before it became public, and said nothing to Deborah.
I was hoping that we could address this. It's not too late. Just gotta shut down. We gotta call an insurance month and just deal with that.
Yeah.
And then,
Blake's most cold-hearted move came when she served Justin with legal papers at the worst possible time, while he was evacuating during the LA wildfires. His family was scrambling to get their children and pets to safety, yet Blake sent process servers to his temporary location. Even more twisted, Blake and Ryan expected Justin to defend her publicly amid the backlash. They even sent him a prepared statement to read aloud. Despite everything, Justin kept quiet, but it was clear how tightly controlled things were behind the scenes. Before Blake even joined It Ends With Us, the production had promised to donate 1% of the film's revenue to DV survivors. But Blake refused to meet with the organization No More, which aims to raise awareness about domestic violence. That refusal says everything about where Blake stood. She wanted to turn a sensitive story into a rom-com, and in doing so, gave us one of the most tone-deaf moments of her career.
It Ends With Us is in theaters now, so grab your friends, wear your florals, and head out to see it.
To top it all off, Blake promoted her business ventures using the It Ends With Us theme, even naming one of her alcoholic drinks after the character Ryle, demonstrating just how little she understood the seriousness of the role she played.